Breaking right now, Restore Britain leader Rupert Lowe has just unveiled a bold and comprehensive mass deportation plan to save the UK. It reveals that 1.8 million illegals destroying our country could be booted within the course of just 3 years by launching a hostile environment to encourage self-deportations, combined with 150,000 to 200,000 forced deportations every 12 months. The Mass Deportations, Legitimacy, Legality and Logistics paper, co-authored by our friend Harrison Pitt, goes much further than Reform UK and Nigel Farage has, calling to repeal every trace of the UNRC and launching a groundbreaking Great Clarification Act. To unveil his plan, which has already infuriated lefties today, Rupert Lowe joins me now for today's Uncancelled Interview. Rupert, wow, this is a bold plan. Great to have you back on the show. Just before we get to it, though, we haven't spoken since this terrible terror attack in Manchester last week. And I just want your reaction, Rupert, to the fact that yet again, we were not told the truth about Jihad al-Shami. Last week, the police were making out, this was some type of choir boy. They knew nothing about him. This week, all of a sudden, he's been reported to the police by his neighbours for extremism regarding Islam. He's a bigamist. He's on bail for rape. And he even called the police, Rupert, on the day and said that this attack was in allegiance of ISIS. Why do they keep lying to us? Why is there a cover-up regarding Islamist terrorism?
Well, Dan, I think it probably is related to the work we're doing on the rape gang scandal. I think the establishment has turned a blind eye to the most vile things now for 20 plus years. We're going to, our inquiry has now reached, it's done a lot of the preamble, and we've now got the hearing set for early February, and we should have a report out by the end of March. And I think, in answer to your question, it goes to the fact that the establishment knows it's let the British people down, let all the electorate down. This post-war experiment with multiculturalism has failed, definitively. We haven't got huge numbers of people integrating in our society. We've got siloed immigration, which just doesn't work. You have to have integration, as Robert Jenrick's been saying this week. So I personally don't think there's any excuse for the police not to be completely transparent about everything. They are, after all, public servants, and their duty, above all else, is to inform the British people who fund them, who pay their taxes, who live here legally, and ultimately who suffer when people like this reprehensible character start threatening people going about their business in a legal and perfectly rational way. So it's a disgrace. And it also goes to this business, as you know, of the police interviewing me voluntarily over two palpably false witness statements. I mean, how can they waste their time on that when they're not dealing with far more serious issues, as I say, which have been going on for many, many years? So I think they need to shake themselves up and start to understand that public servants are supposed to serve, and they're supposed to tell people the truth.
Totally. Now, look, I have read this 113-page report today. It is incredibly comprehensive. One of the criticisms of the Reform UK mass deportation plan was how short it was and how light on detail it was. So you have very much put the meat on the bones and said, look, they can all go. You are not being at all equivocal about this. You're not saying 600,000, Rupert, over the course of a parliamentary term, which is where reform have got to. You are saying every single illegal will be gone within 3 years if your plan is followed. How are you going to do it? Can you believe that more than half of you are watching this video but not subscribed? So please do me a huge favor, click the subscribe button now, turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all of our brand new Outspoken videos.
Well, first of all, Dan, I'd like to pay credit to my team, and as you mentioned, Harrison Pitt, but also, Alistair Harrison, Liam Porter, Charlie Downs, all of them have contributed to this paper. And as you know, we had a vote of our membership, which is growing fast. Our objective is to unite common sense thought in this country. I know we're called far right, but actually we're not. We're just common sense people who want their country back. We want to unite that, because the more people who unite round that banner, the more power we will have to make common sense prevail. And we took the view, we had a vote, and the most important issue as far as our membership was concerned was mass deportation, which, as you know, originally was at the root cause of Nigel Farage's disapproval of the speeches I was making in Parliament, which I think has actually moved the Overton window. And even the Tory party is now talking about deportation, which is great. So we wanted, once we'd had the vote, we wanted to produce a paper that didn't just rely on a soundbite. We wanted to actually do the work to analyze what the issues are that have created the situation that the woke judiciary are able to effectively protect people who are here illegally with the insane judgments that we keep getting. And once we'd identify those issues and we'd put forward a proposal as to how we deal with the, if you like, the legislation that's necessary, what we then put forward is a series of proposals as to how we actually ensure that this deportation takes place. And you said 1.8 million people in 3 years. We think it can be done in 2 years and 5 months.
Love it.
And that's basically you're right. I mean, we've said 3 years because we want to be conservative. In the same way that we've been conservative when we say we think it's going to save the British taxpayer in the end somewhere in the order of, or conservatively, £15 billion a year. So I think this is just a start. So illegal means illegal. We have to attack those illegal migrants and deport them who are here illegally, those arriving here illegally. I've always said the foreign criminals in our prisons should be the first 10,500 out of the country. And we've put forward, I think, a very rational paper. It does require a cold towel over the head and quite a bit of time to be put aside to read it. Mm-hmm. But we, I think, have identified a lot of the issues that Tony Blair's legislation, and to some extent Cameron's legislation, have brought upon us. And do you know what the most important issue, which I think, and Harrison wrote very elegantly about this in his section, is basically, Dan, the sovereignty of Parliament. And I think one of the biggest issues that we have to address, and as you know, Tony Blair's reforms to our court system and to the selection of our judiciary has effectively created the Supreme Court, and it's denuded the power of the Lord Chancellor. We are proposing the Lord Chancellor and Parliament should ultimately do what it's employed by the British people to do, or elected by the British people to do, and that is, if we get ridiculous judgments from the judiciary, Parliament should exercise its power and have a vote in Parliament that effectively protects the British people from these woke and unaccountable judgments based on historic laws, international laws largely, some domestic, which are damaging the interests of the British people. And I think if you poll people, which we've done, most people in this country know that things are going badly wrong and they want mass deportations. They don't want these illegal people coming here and being allowed to live here and being rewarded with, top of the housing list, top best medical treatment and spending money. What we need to create is a hostile environment. That's the first thing to do, which as you see, we put forward. And that in itself will, I think, encourage a lot of people to go voluntarily. And after that, then we have to turn up the screw. And we have to ensure that illegal means illegal. We have to protect the electorate, the honest, decent tax-paying electorate. We have to protect those businesses that are being damaged by employment of illegal migrants. We have to ensure that the Homelessness Reduction Act, which means that the NHS and other government agencies don't collect the data they should be collecting and don't identify those people who are abusing the British, if you like, the largesse or the kindness of the British taxpayer. So the NHS very often treats people illegal, and the Homelessness Reduction Act allows them not to collect that data and to treat people who don't deserve or aren't eligible to be treated. Equally, as you probably know, I mean, a lot of my private businesses now are forced to comply with various laws in order to quote for state or
Yes.
state-controlled business. As you know, the state now accounts for nearly 50% of GDP. And I think we've got to step up, as we say in this paper, the sanctions for directors of businesses who are employing illegal migrants. But in the same way, we also need to hold to account government agencies who are using contractors to ensure that they audit regularly those contractors to ensure they're not using illegal labor. And we need to, all government bodies need to be astute and clear about the fact that they are basically not going to undermine the interests of majority of us who are honest tax-paying citizens who do pay our taxes, do fill in our tax returns, do employ lots of people and pay now unreasonable sums in corporation tax, obviously in employers' national insurance. As you probably know, they reduced the threshold of national insurance payments, which is as big as the national insurance increase, which is again to some extent what I would call a stealth tax, which is wrong.
But first, as I've entered my 40s, aging has become ever present in my life. My body doesn't back up the way it used to, and I've found that it's far easier to get injured when trying to work out, far harder to recover too. But I believe one of the best aging breakthroughs of the last decade is qualia senolytic. And I'm going to explain why. Senolytics are a science field revolutionizing human aging. A big culprit behind that middle-aged feeling can be so-called zombie cells that linger in your body after their useful function, wasting your energy and resources. Now, those zombie cells can lead to less energy, slower workout recovery, joint discomfort, and basically feeling old. Now, qualia senolytic is a groundbreaking, clinically tested supplement with 9 vegan plant-derived compounds that help your body naturally eliminate these zombie cells, helping you feel years younger in just months. But here's what I absolutely love about this product. You take it just 2 days a month, helping your body naturally eliminate zombie cells to age better at the cellular level. Now, since taking qualia senolytic, I've felt like I've turned back the clock. I have higher energy, less soreness after exercise, and a big boost in productivity too. That all equals feeling so much better. So experience the science of feeling younger by going to qualialife.com/Dan for up to 50% off your purchase. Use the code DAN, that's DAN, for an additional 15%. So that's QUALIA life.com/Dan for an extra 15% off your purchase. Your older self will thank you. And by the way, thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. Now, let's get back to it.
So I applaud this and my team, and I would encourage everybody to read the document. There will be people who disagree with elements of it. There'll be people who say we haven't done enough on the Northern Ireland Protocol or the Windsor Agreement, but I think we've addressed the issue of Ireland and the Belfast Agreement, which again people should read what we put, and then if they want to have a debate, let's have a debate. But I applaud the paper. It's taken us a long time. It's been a huge piece of work. And once we've done this one, Dan, there's going to be another vote of the membership, and we're going to move on to something else. My favorite topic for the next one is an Englishman's home is his castle, but I will be guided by our members.
Excellent. Can I just talk about the raw politics of this, Rupert? Because, of course, Restore Britain is not a political party. It is a political
We're a movement.
And the hope is that you can continue to shift the Overton window, as you quite rightly have pointed out, something you did right at the start of Parliament while in Reform UK. So in some ways, you can look at Reform UK and think, okay, well, Nigel Farage was saying mass deportations were a political impossibility just a year ago.
Well, he actually, Dan, told me to take the word mass out of one of my speeches because it offended him, which I did do. He also tried to, I sat in a hotel room with him in Kemi's constituency. He also tried to stop me talking about deporting all those people who were involved in any way with the Pakistani rape gangs. Families, anybody who knew what was happening and didn't basically bring it to the attention of the authorities, they should also, if they're foreign nationals, they should also be deported. And he didn't like that either. So I do think he's changed his tune a bit recently. And
exactly. And there's been a Damascene conversion because of the national conversation which you started, in a large part, by the way, because of Elon Musk and X and the free speech that we've got on there. But my question is, okay, so Reform UK have come out with this policy. They clearly wanted to beat you. It was a pretty light and thin policy, 600,000 people over the course of Parliament. Now, that leaves at least 1.2 million people still in the country. So was the Reform UK plan a real mass deportation plan, or is your hope that they're going to look at this policy prescription from you and realise, actually, no, we've got to go harder and we've got to go quicker?
Well, in all honesty, Dan, I don't really care what Reform does now. Ultimately, I'm running our organisation, and what we want to do is lead the debate. And as you say, as I think we have, I made some speeches in Parliament which some of the other MPs were shocked by, but they had to be made. And I think now you've got many other people saying things that I said, and I got much criticism for. But in the end, as I say, Parliament's dysfunctional. It's got a lot of MPs who have been selected for the wrong reasons. Many of them are nice people, but they're not that capable. And I think what's happened is the balance of power in Parliament has now swung to the staff and to the administrators of Parliament, not to the MPs. The MPs are the elected representatives of the people, and what we have to do is wrestle back the power of MPs. And if you have a vote in Parliament and MPs vote for stupid things, they deserve to lose their seats at the next election. So what we want is transparent votes in Parliament. I mean, we think 1.8 million, Dan, is just the start. So once we've achieved that, then we will turn our attention to people who are living here, in theory, legally, who aren't contributing, who effectively can't speak English, who are a burden on the British state. And as you see in Sweden, ultimately, they are beginning to pay people to go home. And they've worked out that, there is a level at which you can effectively invest in remigration, which will save you money and improve the quality of life for the remaining people.
So remigration is on top of this. That
would come
extra.
after this. The first easy win, as we've identified, is the illegal arrivals and the illegal people, the people living here illegally. And as you know from sewage and various other records which we mention in there, we think that number is somewhere between 1.2, but we think it's more likely 1.8 million, which is why we've used that number. And we think we can get rid of them within 2 years and 5 months, worst case 3 years. And a lot of that will be by just creating a hostile environment. But I think the object of this paper is to show it can be done. As Douglas Carswell said today, it requires political will if we're to avoid the balkanization of this country. And I agree with him. He's been very sound on this all the way along. Sadly, he's now living in America, but he is, I think, very concerned about this country, and he's actually supported what we've done. And I think a lot of it, he thinks makes good sense, which I'm encouraged by.
Well, it makes good sense to me. I really recommend people read this report, Mass Deportations, Legitimacy, Legality and Logistics. And yeah, there's a lot of logistics involved here. Rupert Lowe, leader of Restore Britain. So great to have you back on Outspoken. Thank you, Rupert.
Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.